Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Book. Today we are round 4 of our What 5 Bourbons Can We Take With Us on our Fellowship of the Ring journey. And we're at the bottled and bond level. We've kind of been building up in proof. So stay tuned to find out which ones are going to enter the bracket and find out which one will win this play-in game to get into the ultimate bracket to come with us on our fellowship. Hey everybody, welcome back. Hey, thanks for joining me. So today, what are we doing? We are round 4, bottled and bond level, finding out which bourbon's going to come with us on our fellowship. We already have 3. We have Eagle Rare 10-year, we have Wild Turkey Rare Breed, and Redbreast 12. Those 3 are coming with me. Why only pick 5, you say? Well, this is sort of a play on the a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, Reddit. You can only pick 5. You have your Friday night pour, your daily sipper, your which one would you have if a guest comes over? I don't know. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this whiskey book style, which means we've got a book that we're going to follow and relate our whiskeys to it. And I know that there's 3 that I want, but why can we only pick 5? Well, this is why. We're going on this epic journey and we've only got so much room in our pack. And in this pack, I mean, goodness, we've already got the hat, already got gloves. What else are we going to take in this? Maybe a multi-tool. I'm sure Gandalf would have loved to have this, a 2-way radio. We can keep in track of all the hobbits and everybody with that. Of course, if we're going on this journey, we know we have to have rope. I mean, we can't count on Sam for all of it, right? And we got to have clothing, and we got a fire tin here for fire starting because we got to make fire. Of course, a flashlight. That's a Surefire flashlight. That one's cool. We gotta have a cutting tool. I got a knife here. I got an SE6. I'll show it to you. Can't have a knife and not show it to you. We've got to have medical supplies. Need something to cook our food in. Some sort of pot. We need to have water. We've got to have breakfast. Second breakfast. 11sies, and I'm not even to lunch yet. I mean, this is a lot of stuff we got to put in this bag. Oh my goodness, I cannot forget. We got to have our Shire tobacco. There's only so much room, so we can only pick 5 to come with us on our journey. So which 5 are we picking? Well, we're going to pick from 5 today, and the winner of this moves on to the finals bracket with Angel's Envy, Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, and Maker's 46. Anyway, so what do we have today? First one up, Cooper's Craft 100 from Brown-Forman, bottled and bond, so of course it is 100 proof. It is at least 4 years in the barrel. This one is chiseled and charred, so the barrel has some chiseling and charring in the barrel to add some woody notes to it. What I like about this one, it's about $32 in my area. Some places you can get it for cheaper. Bang for the buck. I can still find this everywhere. That's not like my Eagle Rare. Hey, we get to the end of this, we may have to talk about replacing that one because that one's hard to find. What goes up against Cooper's Craft in that sort of 100 level budget? Okay, I said this is bottled and bond, but this one's a cheater. Can't have this without Wild Turkey 101. Also up in our 100 proof, and again, probably not, I shouldn't have said bottled and bond, because this isn't really bottled and bond. This is just around 100 proof. Four Roses single barrel out of the Four Roses distillery. This one is, well, it's Four Roses. It's about $48 in my area. I think some places it's closer to $42, $45. Everything in my area is $5 to $10 more than everybody else. Okay, now we're getting into probably the coolest looking bottle ever made. Smoke Wagon Small Batch. This has from the Nevada H&C Distillery, obviously in Nevada. It's 100 proof, about $55 online is the only place I can get it, but I got to add $15 shipping to that. So that one kind of gets up there a little bit, even though if I could find it for $55, it'd be a really, really good go. And then the last one. Oh, the last one. I don't know. I might be cheating with this. Joseph Magnus, been on the channel before. This is the Joseph Magnus straight bourbon finished in sherry and cognac casks, triple cask finished. This one is one of my favorites when I pull it up. I don't usually like sherry bourbons finished in sherry casks, but hey, there we go. So where are we at in our journey? Well, this is bottled in bond. This is epic. So we're at an epic spot in the book. The Balrog reached the bridge. Gandalf stood in the middle of the span, leaning on the staff in his left hand, but in his other hand Glamdring gleamed cold and white. His enemy halted again, facing him, and the shadow about reached it out like two vast wings. It raised the whip, and the thongs whined and cracked. Fire came from its nostrils, but Gandalf stood firm. "You cannot pass," he said. The orcs stood still, and a dead silence fell. "I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. You cannot pass. The dark fire shall not avail you. Flame of Undun, go back to the shadow. You cannot pass." The Balrog made no answer. The fire in it seemed to die, but the darkness grew. It stepped forward slowly onto the bridge, and suddenly it drew itself up to a great height, and its wings were spread from wall to wall, but still Gandalf could be seen. Glimmering in the gloom, he seemed small and altogether alone, gray and bent, like a wizened tree before the onset of a storm. From out of the shadow a red sword leaped flaming. Glamdring glittered white in answer. There was a ringing and clash, a stab of white fire. The Balrog fell back, and its sword flew up in molten fragments. The wizard swayed on the bridge, stepped back a pace, and then again stood still. "You cannot pass," he said. With a bound, the Balrog leaped full upon the bridge. Its whip whirled and hissed. "He cannot stand alone," cried Aragorn suddenly, and ran back along the bridge. "Elendil," he shouted, "I am with you, Gandalf." "Gondor," cried Boromir, and leaped after him. At that moment Gandalf lifted his staff, and crying aloud he smote the bridge before him. The staff broke asunder and fell from his hand. A blinding sheet of white flame sprang up. The bridge cracked. Right at the Balrog's feet it broke, and the stone upon which it stood crashed into the gulf, with the rest remained poised, quivering like a tongue of rock thrust out into emptiness. With a terrible cry the Balrog fell forward, and its shadow plunged down and vanished. But even as it fell, it swung its whip, and the thong slashed and curled about the wizard's knees, dragging him to the brink. He staggered and fell, gasped vainly at the stone, and slid into the abyss. "Fly, you fools!" he cried, and was gone. So we have lost Gandalf from our fellowship. Now it's time to find out which one of these is worthy to toast him. I'm going to go my left to right. Slide these hopefully into the picture so you can see that I have them. My lovely wife poured them. I have no idea which ones of these contain which whiskeys. I guess these are all bourbons today. So we're going to go A, B, C, D, E. I can count. And that's all I know. First one is... Ooh, I'm getting heavy cherry, really red fruity. Has some caramel, really heavy on the vanilla too. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good smell. Just really like a floating vanilla, like, I don't know, marshmallowy maybe. B. Ooh. B is more stringent. B has a little bit, a much sharper tone to the tone. Tone is something you hear, not something you smell, but if I was describing the smell, that's how I would describe it. it's more, I get dark dirt. I get spices, a lot of spices. This has really spiky spices. If you're cooking, you're just putting a little bit of this in. And then some heavy pepper too. All right. Okay, let's go with C. Okay, C is definitely more what I like to call bourbony bourbon. It is vanilla. It's a little bit of caramel. This one's more vanilla, honey vanilla forward. You get spice in the middle of the glass, and on the edges you get more light vanilla. A little bit of caramel. Get more spices as you get nose more into the middle of the glass. Let's go with D. Oh, D is lighter. D is interesting. D has a little bit of tobacco, light tobacco, not heavy, light tobacco, like you're getting the hint of somebody, I want to say a Swisher Sweet, but it smells better than that. Just the hint of somebody smoking a cigar a ways off from you, and you're getting just the edges of it. Oh, it's really good. It's got something in there I can't quite describe. I would say it's almost a cherry Coke Frosty and a candy bar. I can't tell what candy bar it is, but on the edges I'm getting some chocolate caramel. Oh, that one's outstanding. That is a super good smell. All right, let's go to E. This one has a earthy tone, not dirt, but earthy. Vanilla, honey, and a little bit of light potpourri. This one, any one of these could make it, and I would be happy. I like this entire lineup. There's a couple I would prefer if I'm looking at them to drink over the others, but hey, I'm good with any of these. So let's go now to the palate. A, my left. Okay, getting back into that, definitely cherry forward. Oh, that's where I got marshmallow, vanilla, caramel before. I'm getting heavy cherry. It's weird how it changes after you go through it once. Spice on the bottom end of the glass. Oh, that's really good. All right. That is spice, that's oak, it's caramel, vanilla, light. What you get off the nose, it does translate to the palate. It has a finish that's still sitting there. In fact, the finish is building up right now. And it's oak, it's spice, it's really good. What I would say from A is it's very bold. Maybe a touch of cinnamon, not a lot. It's more spice. It's a deep tone. It's a darker tone. It's gonna smack you up a bit if you have some of this. Really, like, there's a sweet caramel, almost butterscotch flavor to it. I don't get the toffee, but it definitely coats the mouth. In fact, the finish, I did a little finish there, and I'm getting butter on the tongue, little buttered bread. Not like Cinnabon sweet. This is buttered bread. This is buttered crispy toast. Like you burnt the bread just a little bit, but you still want to eat it, so you put some butter on there and a little bit of cherry preserve, and that's what you get here. All right, going to B. B, back on the nose, is more floral than before. Still pepper, still spiky, but in a good way. Not spiky like it's cheap bourbon. It's you can just tell that there's some rich, just spice flavors in there. Oh, the immediate palate is vanilla right over the tongue. Goes up the top of the mouth, down the sides. Still have the vanilla. where one had a lot of oak and one tasted like it smelled, or A tasted like it smelled. B is opposite. B's nose is spice, just like pepper, but the flavor is vanilla. It's a little bit of oak spice, but more vanilla caramel cream. So B kind of lied to me. B's nose was, I'm going to be a spicy son of a gun. B's flavor profile, completely different. All right, let's go to C. Okay. B is kind of Boston baked beans, has that crispy outer shell of a, like a caramelized peanut. The Boston baked bean kind of outer crunch, not necessarily the inside of it. Caramel, crunchy, burnt caramel with spice and oak. All right, let's go with D. D is very vanilla, honey, with a weird spice to it. Okay, D's got something going on at the back end. It starts out vanilla, honey, really bourbon. It ends super oak, super spiky. Spiky's my word today. That has a lot of oak tannin in it. A lot of oak tannin. A lot of vanilla too, but a lot of oak tannin. Let's see if it, like C, second drink I had with C, cleared up. I got a lot more toffee out of it. It's actually really good. Let's see if I get anything else out of D. Okay, I got a little cherry. Right off the bat, light cherry. Did I mention this was going to be a hard one? So D, the first time I went through and smelled it, the nose was like it outshone everybody. It was outstanding. Come back to it, and I still like the nose, but wow, is it just really oak heavy, sits on the back of the tongue. The finish, after the intense oak went away, the finish was actually really good. It was almost a bread, not quite like an Irish biscuit, but just like a heavy bread on the back of the throat. Maybe a little fudge too. D's definitely got a lot of stuff going on, which I really like. If I'm taking it as my only 5, I gotta think if I like that spike or not. All right, let's go to E. Coming off of D, E's nose is really, really sweet. It's cherry, it's tobacco. I'm getting tobacco on E now. Oh, get a lot of tobacco on E. Tobacco and some cherry and maybe a little peach. Maybe not peach cobbler, but like you get peach in the can and you open up the can and a little, it's about over here, and you get a little whiff of that. All right, well, let's drink it and see if that comes across. Oh, wow. Not even sure how to describe that, as it was sweet, it was cherry. Okay, the oak's coming in later, but after going through C and D, which were super oak, heavy oak forward, this one, it's lighter. I'm not gonna say fluffier. It's more butterscotch. It's more cream. It's more how it coats the mouth. C coated the mouth up from the top to the bottom. This one sort of stays in the bottom, and then later the finish, you feel the butter flavors, the toffee sort of take control of the whole mouth. Do that. So what gets to go in our bag? Well, we don't get to know anyway yet, right? Because whoever wins this one goes into the bracket to determine who goes in our bag, the top 2. And we may have a loser's bracket, because my losers so far are Russell's 10 and Old Forester 1910, which on most days would probably beat the ones that beat them. So we may have a loser's bracket too, but we got to pick 2, and it's going to be hard to pick 1 out of this. Last place. and it's Wild Turkey. And I'm gonna tell you that I kind of caught that at the very end. I was getting the funk on the Wild Turkey, and the first sip, this is how I am with Wild Turkey 101. I'll have one sip and I absolutely, like, it's the best thing in the world. How can it not be the best for the price? It's always going to be with me. Then I have the second drink and the Wild Turkey funk just hits me like a sledgehammer, and it's like, oh. Second to last place, and okay, I'm going to tell you, it's Smoke Wagon Small Batch. Boom, 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 boom. Best looking bottle ever made. Really good stuff. Smoke Wagon, okay, I told you, I believe last time, that Horse Soldier is going to have a second chance because they have a platinum version that's going to go with some higher end stuff, some higher proof stuff, not higher end stuff, in the next go round. Same thing with Smoke Wagon. This is the small batch. The small batch, it's okay. The uncut, unfiltered, that's going to join us for that next round with the Horse Soldier. All right, so the last three, holy cow, was it tough to choose the last three. So I've gone the top three. I had to go back again to go through them. They are that close. And so in third place on the podium, but not quite making the finals, we have Cooper's Craft 100. Not bad at all for a $30 bottle of bourbon. You want the budget bourbon, in my mind, Cooper's Craft 100 beats Wild Turkey 101. I know that's probably going to anger some people, maybe, maybe not. Cooper's Craft is a sweeter, more vanilla, more caramel, just a better bourbony bourbon in my mind. Wild Turkey 101, great stuff. But once the funk kind of gets to you, it gets to you, and it takes a while for that funk to go away. And I don't even have like those college stories or anything with Wild Turkey 101 that some people have, like they can't smell it or be around it without going ballistic or something. I don't have it. It's not for me. Okay, so second place, Four Roses. This thing from the very beginning won the nose. Four Roses is, let's move that up a little bit. We're going to kind of try to put these, I don't have podium, so we will put these a little bit just closest to me, furthest from you is the least to the best as far as what I've got here. Again, fifth place, Wild Turkey. Fourth place, Smoke Wagon Small Batch. Third place, Cooper's Craft 100. Second place, Four Roses Single Barrel. I'll tell you something about the single barrel. What kind of solidified it at the end for not first place is while E was very tannin, a little more oaky, Four Roses dried out. And the very first bottle of single barrel, and of course anybody, if you know bourbon, you know the single barrels can change and be different. The first Four Roses I had was terrible. It was so dry. It was awful. You took a sip and it was just, flavor was gone immediately and it just dried out your mouth. I didn't like it. I didn't think I'd ever get it again. I did. I ended up loving the next bottle. This one's not quite as good as that bottle, but it's still really good. And this Four Roses has just a touch of that dryness, and that's why it's not in first place. First place, moving on in the bracket, doesn't surprise me, Joseph Magnus. Is this cheating a little because that's not an easy one to find? Maybe, but I love me some Joseph Magnus, and today that's the winner. That one moves on in the bracket against Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, against Angel's Envy, and Maker's 46 for that winner's bracket. Loser's bracket, Four Roses. We're probably going to have that loser's bracket because you want to talk about already some hitters like 1910. Four Roses, Russell's 10. I'm actually looking more forward to that one. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you for watching Whiskey Book. Next time will be the higher proof, and we will get the bracket set for who gets to go into the bag and on the fellowship. Thanks for watching.